I was meaning to do a video a couple of weekends ago explaining what I did for Memorial Day weekend, but I ended up not being able to because I had to have what I consider emergency surgery on my mouth. The thing is, I had a really bad infection in one of my teeth, and I didn't know that there was an infection back there, and it spread to another tooth and it infected it too. And the only way to get rid of the pain was to have them surgically removed from my mouth. And I did. And that was a week ago. And I went through recovery. And then this morning, I had a follow-up appointment with the surgeon who did the surgery on my mouth. And he examined it, and it's going pretty good. I have another week or two, and then the stitches in my mouth should heal and dissolve on their own. And it was... Now, I'll say this. I've had surgery done on my mouth before for my teeth, but that was when I had my wisdom teeth removed. And it was such a blur that I don't really remember much about it. And then I have to have 2 teeth in the very back of my mouth on the top removed. And I was trying to compare the wisdom teeth surgery to this recent surgery, trying to see if there's any similarities on how it all went and my recovery process and everything. It was very tough, to be honest, because the whole week that I was in recovery, I wasn't allowed to eat anything with citric acid in it. I was only allowed to have soft foods that didn't require chewing at all. So instant white rice and instant mashed potatoes. That's pretty much all I ate for a whole week. And ice cold tea. I wasn't allowed to have anything to eat that was hot. And I wasn't allowed to have anything to drink that was hot. Everything had to be cold because it was so swollen after the surgery that this side of my face, the left side, was completely swollen in so many ways. And I took pictures of the different swelling, the different swelling spots and the different discoloration that it went from a huge bruise on my face, and then the bruising changed different colors, and according to the recovery care rules on what you can do and what you can't do, that's normal according to them. So, and I could feel the stitches that are still there because they didn't remove them. They said that they're supposed to dissolve on their own. And they're up here, and it's right there. I can feel it. And before this morning, before I went in for a follow-up, I kept playing with the really long string that was attached to it, and I just kept swirling in circles. I couldn't help it. It was just a habit that I formed because the string was so long. And I told the doctor, and he goes, "Oh, well then I'll just trim it for you." And he reaches in and trims it twice because it was a really long string attached to the stitches, and he had to cut it off. It was, I don't really remember much of the surgery, to be honest, because I suffer from unfortunate anxiety. I told them in advance when I made the appointment that I have to be put to sleep when they do the surgery because I cannot handle any kind of pain whatsoever when it comes to my mouth. I just can't. I'm not good with pain when it comes to my ears, my head, or my mouth. Other parts of my body I do better with, but when it comes to this whole thing in general, I don't do well at all when it comes to pain. So they had to put me to sleep, and they walked me through it step by step until I fell asleep. And they did tell me that when I wake up from the surgery, it would be a huge blur and I won't remember anything. And the only thing I remember is them explaining to me how it was going to work. They gave me a shot in my arm to put me to sleep. It's like an IV thing, and it goes into your system, and it doesn't take long at all. And then it just knocks you out. And I don't know how long the surgery took, but I was in the recovery room for 20 minutes waiting for me to kind of wake up a little bit before my husband took me home. And the first thing I had to eat afterwards was a milkshake. The milkshake was good, but it was very difficult eating it because this half of my mouth was completely swollen to the point where I could barely move my lips to even open and close them. And I was using a spoon to scoop up the ice cream and put it into my mouth, but it was really difficult eating it, and I'm not allowed to have straws because of the stitches. So that was interesting. But my face is no longer swollen and I'm doing really good. So, yeah. And I will explain later about my trip that I went on with my husband for Memorial Day. And there's some videos that I took of that too. So I'll be telling you about that later. So, I guess I'll talk to you later. Bye.